Good day, podcast community. PeteKane here, Podcast Pete, and certified high performance coach. We got a special podcast for you. When you have two coaches on a podcast, I want you to close your tabs, pay attention, because coaches drive everything. So I want you to I want to introduce you to Kay. So Kay, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into the podcast.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, my name is Kay Wallace. My company is Tools to Connect. I am a certified business coach, executive coach, and consultant. I serve small business and entrepreneurs primarily. That is my passion. That's what I love. That's who I serve, community. So businesses under 25, preferably. Or entrepreneurs that are, especially in this economy, a lot of entrepreneurs are going, it's time to come out and do my thing, and they don't know where to start. I love those people.
That's beautiful.
That's who I like to serve.
I love it. So there are a lot of people, when you mention coaching, they say, I can figure it out on my own. I'm a self-learner. So what would you say to those people that don't believe in investing in themselves in coaching? What would you say to that group of people?
So here's what I would say. Everybody gets stuck. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're in a corporate job. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, whatever level of your business. At some point in our lives, we get stuck. And we don't know why. It's kind of like both of us as coaches. We can get stuck. We know how to help other people, but we need a coach to help us see what we don't see. It's like you can be very introspective. You can do all of the self-help and the learning and all that. But there's always these little things in the back of our minds that we don't even know exist. And that's how we get stuck. We don't see a common thread through things. But somebody objectively can walk you through and ask you questions to where you have that aha moment, that nugget that you can say, never thought about it that way. I need to look at it differently. So we all have the power within ourselves. We just really don't know how to tap into it.
I love it. Yeah. When I have a person in my Rotary, and we were trying to do a podcast. This was a little bit ways ago, but her assistant booked the wrong podcast. The wrong link. So she was on a strategy session for coaching. And so she goes, I thought we were going to do podcasts. I said, I did too, but somebody booked this session, which was different. And what was interesting is she had 3 coaches. And then we were talking about coaching. This was about 2 weeks ago. And she hired another coach. So she's got 4 coaches.
Wow.
And she's a top performer. This lady is just crushing it.
Right.
So what would you say, like getting into the industry, what attracted you to want to be involved in coaching when you started?
So originally I was doing consulting. So I started off many moons ago. I started actually teaching social media courses. And I know that sounds so like, what does that even mean? Everybody knows how to use social media. Well, they didn't back in the day. So when Facebook first came out, no business pages. No, it was just like, okay, great. We're opening up to the public. Y'all all connect with your friends. Right. But I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to use it for business. And so so my partner in Los Angeles, California at the time, and I
Mhm.
would do Twitter. He did Twitter. We both did Facebook. And then I did a 2-day, 8-hour workshop on how to use LinkedIn
Mm.
as a business search engine, not
Mhm.
social media. That's how I got started. And then
Mhm.
it was, oh, that sounds great. I learned so much. Can you do it for me? This
Mm.
was before agencies. So I said,
Mhm.
great. So I built a digital agency, a marketing agency. And then, as we know things shift. Things are always shifting, things are always changing, especially in the techno world.
Mhm.
And we got to stay up. So then became, oh, great, we have business pages. And then became, I forget what the original version was called, the Google My Business,
Mhm.
how to be found locally, how to be, so it was all of these things that were just emerging. And then came, I call them the box agencies, which is, here's our platform. We'll post twice a week on these platforms, yada, yada, and here's how much it costs. I was like, I don't want to be in that space anymore.
Mhm.
So I closed my agency. Well, I shut down that part of it and decided I'm just going to consult with all of my clients. I'm just going to do consulting work. That transitioned to coaching, but I did not have any certifications, experience, and I was like, I think I need to train. We all need trainers, we all need coaches. And I was like, I need a coach. I hired a coach for myself, an entrepreneur coach. And I was like, I need to get certified. If I'm going to do this right, I know how to consult. I didn't know how to be a good coach.
Mhm.
So I went and I did my work, I did my due diligence, put in my work, got my certifications in, executive coaching, life coaching, all of that. But my passion never left that small business.
Mm. Yeah, the small business, when it was explained to me many years, it's interesting you say you started out in social. I did too 15 years ago. And it was like my daughter, who was younger at the time, she's in college, and she said, Dad, you like marketing? Why don't you do this Facebook? And I go, nah, that's for college kids.
Mhm.
That's not legit. But then she just kept just saying to try it. And I was living down here, but family was in Philadelphia and
Mhm.
Richmond, Virginia, and Asheville. So when I first signed up for Facebook, it was like, whoa. Oh, I now knew what my nephews and nieces were doing.
Yeah.
And because you removed, now it was like, I have an idea what they're doing. So I really liked it. And
Yeah.
then somebody referred and said, look, Pete does marketing and
Mhm.
you need some social guidance. And I didn't know what I was doing when I first started out. But,
None
referrals.
of us did.
Yeah, I know. It was like I did the Google My Business or,
Yep.
oh yeah. And it was like I had a guy just last week, we ran into each other at LA Fitness and he said, when you told me about reviews, it changed my business.
Mm.
And he focused on reviews and he got, he's a heating and air guy. And
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
we ended up he was a client for a while, but he said that changed my business because I realized that the online world was going to be a factor in how people make decisions because you told me about reviews. So
Yeah.
what I can't believe that when you're saying that, I'm laughing inside.
We have the same, very similar
Yeah,
background.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, and I had a guy, I was in the food service part, and I'd always help people with marketing. So I get this big client, and I had 2 partners, and he was in LA, and it was a private equity company, and
Mhm.
he would tell me, he goes, "Pete, you'll get paid, but they just pay you last because 'cause you're smaller." And
Yep.
my partners are saying, get that money, because I'm the rainmaker. They're just back there just cashing the checks. So I listened to the wrong person
Ah,
and ended up losing the account eventually because I just said, I just didn't take his advice about just the evolution of bigger companies.
yeah,
So I love smaller companies too.
yeah.
So tell our viewers, like, when it comes to getting stuck, what patterns are you seeing in
Mm.
small businesses? Where are they getting stuck?
So, from my experience, people they start a business based on a passion, whether it's a dry cleaners, whether it's a chiropractor, whether it doesn't matter, but they had a passion or a skill or a skill set.
Hmm.
And that's what they know. They don't have the business experience. They don't, they try to wear all the hats.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing is they think they can do it all by themselves because that's what our society expects them to do.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, I did it all alone. I pulled myself up by the bootstraps and well, you can do that, but I call that failing up,
Hmm.
which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's just a path to get there sooner if possible. So the common denominator I see is people trying to do it all, but they don't have the experience. They try to do accounting, but they have, I've always said, I think 2 + 2 is 5. Not my wheelhouse, not my area of expertise, whether it's
Mhm.
coaching, whether it's consulting, whether it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not it. I'm your operations gal, I'm your marketing, I'm your sales gal to help you. I'm all of those. So even as coaches, we don't have all the answers either.
Mhm.
We're not we're not the end all be all in every aspect of a business. So I think just recognizing that and admitting, let's get the ego out of the way and
Mhm.
go, you know what? This is what I know to do. Here's what I don't know. And let me find somebody that's good at that to coach me, that I consult with, that whatever that looks like. So that's what I see. People don't know what they don't know until they're in it.
Yes.
And then they go, "Ah!"
Yeah, I like that you shared that with our audience, and I'll just give a tiny bit of a personal story. I was the person that I get up real early. I
Mhm,
can outwork anybody. I do 3 days in one. I had
mhm.
21 days in a week. But before my stroke, I had 5 people part time, and but everything ran through me. So when I had my stroke and I'm out for 49 days plus, I
Wow.
didn't know what to do. They were just like,
Yeah.
okay. It was like the business basically, if it wasn't for my partner taking 2 clients that were my bigger clients,
Mhm.
the rest of them just kind of withered away. The 5
Wow.
people just went and did their thing because they didn't know what to do because everything went through me. And
Yeah.
I was like on an ego trip, like I got to do everything.
Mhm.
Like until I sat there for 49 days and thought,
Mm.
the business is basically done because everything went through
Wow.
me. And I had free coaches, but I never invested in a coach, which probably would have told me, hey, it can't work that way.
Yeah.
If you can't leave your business and come back a couple months later and it's
Yep.
grown, then you don't have systems in place. So I learned a valuable lesson in just growing a business that you don't want to be doing everything. You want to do what you do.
Right.
What would you say you do best when it comes to the value you provide for your small business owners?
Listen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, truly listen.
Hmm.
Take them out of a box. There's a lot, and you and I are both coaches, so we've met the gamut, right? Some want to put you in a box. I talked about those social media agencies that here's our package, right? Coaches have a tendency sometimes to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do not. I don't have a package that you pick A, B, and C, option 1, 2, or 3. It's like we can coach, and I'll coach you what you feel like the time you want to invest.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
I'm not gonna put them in a box. So everything I do is a customized plan. And I've been that agency with multiple people. And I'm at the stage in my life is I don't want to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that I'm right for my clients are right for me, and we have a symbiotic mutual goal, which is their goal.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I love that.
And sometimes it's about their business, sometimes it's about their life, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's about it varies. And so everything I do is so I listen. My discovery calls, I listen. I'm
Mm-hmm.
honest. I will tell you, I'm not your gal, but I know somebody that can help you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to take a client on if and I'm real clear. Some clients I can tell right away. It's like, I don't mean to be offensive, but have you seen a counselor or a
Mm-hmm.
therapist? There are some things that you might discover there.
Mm. Yeah.
As
And then what?
coaches, that's not who we are.
Yep. No, I love, we do transformation. And so when you're transforming people, it doesn't happen in one session.
Mhm.
You're working on a strategy based on where they are, where they want to go. But I want to go back to when I first met you because, we talk about high performance habits, and the third one is bold,
Oh, yeah.
courageous. So I'm there talking to the person that ran the clinic, and
Yep.
you came up and introduced yourself.
Mhm.
When did you like with being bold and courageous? It's so important in being an entrepreneur. Did you find yourself like evolving into being more bold and courageous in what you did? Because not many people would have done that. I'm saying, of course, the luncheon place next door, we have lunches there. So
Right.
I didn't even know Benchmark was there. I
Right.
just looked up and I went, "Oh, PT! I love PTs because I've gone to 6 of them." But
Uh-huh.
anyway, so just tell our viewers, what does courage and boldness mean to you? And, making that move, which you didn't know me from Adam, but you came up and you introduced yourself. We
Yeah.
went, yeah. So I would just want to kind of drill a little bit into the courage part of being an entrepreneur.
So I think for me, it's just always been there. I've always been that, even as a kid. I mean, my
Hmm.
mother would just kind of shake her head and go, "Oh my gosh, should talk to a fence post if it didn't walk away." I've
Hmm.
just always been that person, and I've always been that I want to learn about people. I've
Hmm.
always been inquisitive. And so, like, everybody's biggest fear is what?
Projection.
Public speaking.
Oh yeah, 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 exactly.
No, I'm the oddball. I'm like, "Oh, public speaking, yay!" And, did that for a while. Learned it wasn't my cup of tea, but at any rate, so I think I've always been that bold, inquisitive person
Hmm.
at heart. And then as my business involved, and I was living in California, and I was like, I need to network. I want the community. I was involved in 7 chambers of commerce, a closed networking group, multiple open networking groups, just, you name it. But I enjoy people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I can meet somebody new, I'm going to ask you, "Oh, what do you do? What do you do?" I'm curious. But
Mm-hmm.
that's also how I learn. I
Mm-hmm.
look at that as an education. So there's a little mind shift for people that if that's not your comfort zone, if you're not that bold person that I went up to you and go, "Hi, I understand you talked about a meeting. I'm looking for networking," which is, if I remember right, that's exactly what I said.
I think so.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and then we stepped outside and chatted. And but it's like, you can't grow if you're sitting at home going, "Oh," or if you go to a networking event and you stand in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I've always said, if you're going to network, if you go to like I'll just use a chamber of commerce. I'm still not immersed in the community here because I'm new to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I always say, find the yappers,
Mm-hmm.
because the yappers know everybody in the room.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So the first thing you do is go find. So the fact that you were bold enough to come into this PT facility, I was just like, I need to meet him. He'll be somebody that we gel together or we don't gel together. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
but I want to meet him and I want to learn about him. And here we are.
Oh, I love it. I when I had a brace and a cane, and I had to keep my shoes on the brace so I wouldn't have to flip them and turn them out. So, and I found that when I would wear 2-color shoes and I'm got a brace, people would talk to me because I'm
Yeah.
like you. I love to talk to people. I just love. So when I got the brace came off and the cane went away, I kept my 2-color shoes because I have so many meaningful conversations
Hmm.
just from people going, "Hey, you got 2-color shoes on, you colorblind?" And
Yep.
then it just leads to a conversation about whatever. But I kept it
Yep.
on. I obviously have the same color, same pair at home, but I just flip them, and I just want to meet people, have conversations,
Yeah.
because a gentleman, this was a couple years ago, Daniel Priestley, he said the entrepreneur is like let me see how he said it. It's the 1,000 pitches. So you
Yeah.
always got to be like short pitches that build curiosity. So
Mhm.
somebody says, "What do?" You can't be like giving them 10 minutes of throw up
Vomiting
because
mirrors is what
they're
I call
rolling
them.
their eyes and running. You got
Exactly.
to be tight, concise, and build curiosity. So, what do you find like when entrepreneurs, because it is like people have a passion and
Hmm.
they say, "Oh, I can do that," but they
Hmm.
don't realize they got to be a good salesperson. They got to
Yeah.
sell whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
How do you handle people that maybe they were a good plumber and they say, "I'm going to be have my own plumbing company," and they need to be good at selling their vision, selling their services.
Hmm.
How do you help those people?
Oh man, I have coached and consulted with countless number of those people.
Mhm.
It's like network. Whew, it's like, you mean I have to speak to people? You mean I have to, so I've had a
Yeah,
lot of people, we just go through project some of your basic stuff that
yeah.
people are afraid to do. Eye contact,
Mhm.
firm handshakes. I mean, I know they're old school, but they work.
Yes, yes.
People want to be heard, but also at the same time, people want to talk about themselves.
Mhm.
So I've always told, my clients is just be inquisitive.
Yes.
You don't have to be the crazy redhead in the middle of the room, that's loud, boisterous, and obnoxious. I, just be who you are.
Mhm.
You can be the quiet, unassuming. It's okay. But you still have to have those basic human contacts, I guess,
Mhm.
for lack
Yes.
of a better term. You know, not not always not over talking people.
Yeah.
Listening, if you ask a question, truly listening to what their answer is.
Mhm.
Build on that. Let them talk about that. The
Mm.
more you learn, the more they're apt to open up to you.
Yeah, I love that. I do a mentoring program over at the high school, and
Mhm,
they're sophomores, and we have them from freshmen to seniors.
mhm,
And so this was last year. It was on relationship. It's a John Maxwell type program.
mhm,
So we're teaching relationship building. So I was talking with my banker, and she had a high school student, I think junior, and he
mhm.
said to his mom, he said, I don't know if she said this or he brought it up, but he didn't know anybody's first name in their class, and he
Wow,
had been with them like 3/4 of the year. So
wow.
we're doing relationships, and I said, okay, I want to know from y'all, how many people do you know by their first name
Mhm,
in this class? And they've been 3/4 of the way through the year.
mhm.
It was like one, maybe two.
Ooh,
So I said, turn to your right, introduce
interesting.
yourself, make contact, shake their hand, and ask them a question. What do
Mhm.
you like to do when you're not in school? Whatever question you can,
Yeah.
build rapport, build relationships. And the teacher, this was last year, said afterwards, he said, they were part of COVID when they were in sixth, seventh grade. So
Oh, yeah.
they didn't really develop. So not that younger people have to develop, because it's easy to just be on social media and
Right.
text. Remember when we were growing up, we had to, well, you probably didn't have this, but guys, we were calling up for a date and we'd hang up before the person would
Oh,
answer.
yes, I
We were
was.
scared to
Yes,
death. It's like, then
yes, I was
finally,
part of the rotary phone. Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly. As soon as it ring, it'd be, and then
Yep.
you couldn't tell who called you, so they
Right,
didn't know
right.
who called. But that developed some courage, because you got to learn to get
Yeah.
rejected. You got to learn how to step out of your comfort zone. So,
Mhm.
what would you say to a business owner that is in a comfort zone? How do you get them to move out of that comfort zone? Because we know we grow when we get out of our comfort zone. How do
I
you?
was Yeah, I was getting ready to say exactly that. If you're always in your comfort zone, you're never gonna grow. So, I think it's getting down to that the old adage of how do you eat an elephant? One
Mm,
bite at a time.
I love that.
Just take one mi it doesn't have to be a major, you don't have to go book yourself to be a speaker at the Rotary Club. Just one step at a time. How many people can you talk to this week that you can learn about?
I like that.
How
Hmm,
many, what are your top 5 questions that you could ask somebody when you
mhm,
first meet them to learn more about who they are, either as a person or their business or whatever that looks like? And what happens if they just do those little bitty things one day at a time, one person at a time,
mhm,
it snowballs. And then that's their new comfort zone.
mhm.
And then all of a sudden they're not fulfilled themselves, because if they go a week without doing any of that, because now they're going, God, I didn't meet anybody. I didn't learn anybody. I didn't learn about anybody this week. Oh my gosh. So their comfort zone moves. The goalpost has moved, and the goalpost is always moving. But I think it's just start one minor thing at a time. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be big. And I think people think, oh my gosh, I could never do that. whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm, I
you don't
love.
know you can't.
Yeah.
You just haven't broken it down yet.
Mm-hmm.
I call it backing into. We all talk about, oh, what's your 1-year goal, your 3-year goal, your 5-year goal, right? Most people have no idea. They're looking at, I need a 1-week goal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where to start. So great. We start eating the elephant one bite at a time, one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month. And then all of a sudden, months down the road, they can go, oh, now I have a 1-year goal. Now
Mm-hmm.
I can see further. I know more, so I can see further down the road.
I love that
We're
analogy.
starting at a path. If we're starting
Mhm.
at multiple roads, we don't know what roads we're going to take. And so we have two options. We can just choose one, or we can stand there in fear.
Mm. Yeah, it's so good. I've probably done 500 podcasts. And so I've invited probably 5,000 people.
Mhm.
But I would see patterns. People would say, I'd say, would you like to be a guest on my podcast? They go, that's not my thing. I say, what's your thing? Well, I don't like being, in a camera. I don't
Yep.
like I've never done a podcast. I said, okay. Have you ever ridden a bike? What was it like when you first rode your bike? You
Mhm.
fell off, you skinned your knee, but did you just say, I can't ever ride a bike? No,
Yeah.
you got back on and you
Yeah.
just kept riding. So everybody, the fear of the unknown is unknown.
Yeah.
It's about your story. So wouldn't you want to share your story with my community? I mean, you took me up on it right away. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know, but so many people, it's like, I'm going to give you an introduction to my community. It's a half hour. People will say, I'll do that after the first of the year. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
said, we'll have a half hour between now and the first of the year. And
The
they go, oh,
procrastination syndrome.
yeah, it's like push it down the road.
Yep.
But
It's
what
just
would you say? Like, I know I'm a avid reader. I love books.
mm.
What book that you read in your past could you recommend to our viewers? And what book are you reading now that has caught your attention?
So, my favorite book of all times, dog ear. I mean, I've had multiple. My old business partner still has my original book, and I tell him all the time, I go, someday I'm going to make you ship that to me so I can have it back. But
Mhm.
it'll never happen. It's been 25 years, right? It's E-Myth Revisited.
Oh yeah, I love Michael Gerber.
That is, I'm telling you, it is if you really read it,
Hmm.
but you have to read it and reread it and reread it. And the
Yeah.
reason you do is because you're in a different place every time you reread it.
Yes.
And you're
Yeah.
looking for different nuggets
Hmm.
every time it's like, ooh, great nugget. I can go implement that. I can do that. And
Mm.
then, okay, now that's a pattern. Now that's one of your habits, good habits. And then it's like, oh, I got to reread it again. It's not a book to read once and set on the shelf.
Yep. Yep. I
So,
totally agree.
one of the books I am currently loving really has nothing to do with coaching, but it has become a an interesting journey. And it's a book that my son gave me earlier this year. And I forget what it's called, but it's basically a tell me about your life, mom. And they have a whole series, tell me about your life, dad, or whoever. And
Hmm.
so and he asked me to do it in my own handwriting. Don't, there is a digital version.
Hmm.
Uh, but man, the questions in there, some of them are very basic, When
Mhm.
I started, I was, "Oh, this is easy. Where were you born? How much did you weigh?" All those things that you never tell your kids, but
Mhm.
they're in this book. And then it's like, what were your goals as a child?
Hmm. Whoa.
Yeah.
That is a powerful question.
And so I was like, "Oh, what did you wanna be when you grew at 5 years old? Do you remember? And then how did that change? How did
Mhm.
so it go so you have to go through your own development from childhood and talk about some introspect work.
Mm. Yeah, I love the self-awareness introspective. I never was a big journaler because being dyslexic, spelling words was not my thing.
Right.
And so if you read my journals, they looked like shorthand. So I never really did it until I had a stroke and I had plenty of time to
Mhm.
think. And then I
Yeah.
just started journaling and it just kind of the world opened up
Mhm.
of that awareness I never knew I even had. Now I've completed well over 16 journals. I
Yeah.
do it I go out on the porch, I write, I think, because after every podcast, we talk about curiosity and learning.
Mhm.
I just write what I learned when I spent time with Kay, just some
Yeah.
different nuggets that, just pop up. And if we don't put the pen to a paper,
Yeah.
the brain doesn't respond like I heard this person say, like typing in school, you can type 10 times faster, but
Right.
your brain doesn't retain typing like it does writing. So
You're correct.
writing out those questions and I mean the answers to those questions gets you thinking like, what at 5 years old, what was I thinking about? Like what kind of goals? And it just
Yeah.
gives you such perspective of life. What would you say? I want to be respectful of your time. So moving from LA,
Mhm.
did you go LA to Texas to Atlanta? Or did you
I
go from LA to Atlanta?
No, I did. I was born and raised in, Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
Left in '88. I designed computer systems in the '80s,
Hmm.
if that tells you anything. So, I was that you talk about me being bold and a rebel and all that stuff. I was there weren't degrees or anything, so I was the only woman in a man's world working with engineers and things like that. Left Texas and in '88 also and moved to Oklahoma
Hmm.
and worked for a company called Controlled Data Corporation, which is now Seagate Technology.
Yep, I remember the name.
And
Mhm.
I taught nobody will know this, but unless the old technology people, but I taught SCSI interface for disk drives.
Ooh, man,
Yeah.
that is going back a few years.
Yeah, yeah, I'm dating myself. Anyway, and then from there, my 2 kids and I won't go into all the details, but they ended up doing some local theater and things like that. One thing led to another. My son was performing in Los Angeles at the Kodak,
Mhm.
and managers and agents came up and they wanted anyway, that's how we ended up in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then they grew up. They're both grown with their own families now.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Okay." I LA, I loved Los Angeles, but it was just too expensive.
Mm.
And so I was like, "I'm going back to Dallas-Fort Worth area." So I was there for I call it my 13-year cycle.
Mhm.
I was in LA for 13 years, back in Texas for 13 years. I was in Oklahoma for 13 years. And then it's,
Mm.
so, and then my daughter said, "Mom, I want you to move to Atlanta." I said, "No." I said, when I moved to Dallas, back to Dallas, that's it. I'm not moving anymore. I bought my final home. I'm done. Well, then grandkids come along
Yeah.
and they, That's why I'm here. So yeah, I've been in Atlanta area for about a year now,
Hmm.
and my daughter was pregnant with her second child.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, of course, that's what brought me here. So I love being, I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old grandsons.
Those are great years.
I
Yeah.
know. And so they're just at that, they're fun.
Yeah. You know, and I do see, like, my daughter, when she got married, she moved to Phoenix, and it was right as COVID hit. It was like
Mhm.
weird being in that, but after a few years, moved back with the kids. And so, yeah, when you end up being want to be around the grandkids because for obvious reasons. But what would you say, like, I always remember this from a Brian Tracy book. He would say, like, I can you can drop me in any city around the United States and
Mhm.
I'll build a business, because
Yep.
he said, so here you are, you dropped in Atlanta,
Mhm.
yeah, grandkids. So what have you seen as far as, nobody knows you in the town.
Right.
You're like there for, the first month. What
Mhm.
was it like? Just tell our viewers, like, you have a skill, you have a coaching business. Here we are, we drop you in Atlanta. And
Mhm.
so just give our people, because I love what you said about, just being curious and asking
Yeah.
questions and walking, just like you did when you came up and introduced yourself when I was in the PT play. So just tell our viewers, like, what did it mean to just strange town? You're moving to Atlanta. I
Mhm.
mean, I know Dallas, Fort Worth area very well,
Uh-huh.
but you're now new into Atlanta. So what was
Right.
it like?
Um, Scary as always. I think everybody has a fear when you're moving to a new place, but
Mhm,
it's like, do you live in the fear, or do you turn it around to curiosity
mhm,
and immersion or whatever? And I haven't immersed myself in the community still. At the time I was like, I don't want any new when I first got here, I was like, I don't want any new clients. I want to focus on family.
mhm.
I lived with my daughter and son-in-law for, like, the first 2 to 3 months I moved here, and I was just like, "Oh gosh," I think they were happy to get rid of me, and I was love them with all my heart, but, it's like living with your adult children again, and they're like, "Oh god, mom's here now," and, it's you talk about an adjustment for everybody. So I really focused on family when I first got
Mhm,
here. And then I started to focus on what are the local businesses that I can shop at and get to know.
mhm,
My daughter is in the restaurant industry. So that was easy for me to tap into what are your favorite local little restaurants
mhm,
that are individually owned, that are not a chain, not it's like I'm one of those people.
mm,
So living in Los Angeles, one of my goals was to eat at every or to be a patron of every business on Ventura Boulevard.
mm. Wow.
If anybody knows Ventura Boulevard, it's a lofty goal.
Mhm. Yes.
So, and I made it through probably half of it, but over 13 years. But I think for here, I was in a different place in my life.
Mhm,
And so my focus was a little different. It wasn't about immersing myself into, "No, I need those new clients and I need that." It was just like, I need to settle with myself, get a
mhm,
pattern, get a rhythm. I need to get a home that I feel, that I enjoy.
mhm.
I need to settle myself.
Mm. Yes, I love that. So I wanna, like, tell our viewers, how can they get a hold of you, Kay?
So you can go to my website, which is toolstoconnect.com.
Mhm,
With the number two, if you put in tools to TO, it also gets the same place.
mhm,
Um, there's a little contact form out there. All I need is name, email, and phone number. That's it. And there's an option that you can put what you want. You can also people can connect with me on LinkedIn. I do a
Mm,
lot of LinkedIn business.
okay.
Um, you know, since I started since I did workshops as a very early adopter,
Hmm.
I'm pretty connected in that space, and I enjoy it. It's changed, but I enjoy that. So those are my primary,
Oh,
uh,
that's
those are the
awesome.
primary ways to contact me.
All right. So, final question.
Yes,
So, what would you want our viewers to take home? What would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our podcast today?
learn to trust yourself.
Hmm. Love it. Hmm.
So many people don't trust themselves.
Yeah.
Learn to trust yourself. You're better than you believe you are.
Hmm. Man, that is great insight and wisdom. Thank you so much, Kay. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you taking the time to being with us this morning, and we appreciate you very much. And thanks so much for sharing with our community just the insights and the journey and the things that help our small businesses grow. Because small businesses become bigger business, but they don't grow just by accident. They
Me, it's
really
the
need to.
backbone of any community. It's the
Yes.
backbone of our country, which is
Yep.
why I love it so much.
Yeah, it's so true. Thank you so much, Kay. We
Thank
appreciate
you.